Okay, I know I'm probably the last person on earth to see this movie, so doing a review on it might seem a little redundant, but I wanted to talk about it. I just watched it last night, and I usually try to do these videos really right after I watch whatever I'm watching. But after this ended, I was just wiped. I needed a palate cleanser, so I just sat around playing video games, and that was it for the night. So hopefully, I don't forget anything that I want to talk about. It's 3 hours long, the movie. Hopefully not this review. Uh, and honestly, I felt every bit of it. I was ready for this movie to be over long before it was over. And that's not to say there's nothing good about it. I think there are some good things, but overall, I have more negatives than positives. And I didn't compare them, so I guess we'll just see how this comes together. The opening narration is something that I've seen a lot of people discuss, and I get it. It's very Batman in a lot of ways to have something like that, but it also felt a little too much like Rorschach from Watchmen to me. Let me know if you felt the same, but it was just strange. And I think it went on a little too long, and it didn't really tell us all that much. It also reminded me a little bit of Blade Runner, the narration in that movie, or the theatrical version of that movie. I like it in principle, but what's being said just wasn't great to me. I also don't like that Bruce Wayne is doing surveillance in street clothes, just running around on a motorcycle. I have no idea why they did that. That was bizarre to me. I couldn't wrap my head around that. That was strange. And this is a year 2 Batman story. So he's been doing this for 2 years now. And I don't think it really feels that way. Let me know what you think. But in some ways, it feels like a year 1 story. Because he's still very angry. He's all about vengeance. I mean, take a drink every time someone says vengeance in this movie. Batman is referred to as vengeance more than he's referred to as Batman. So, I don't know. It just feels like he's more like 8 or 9 months into this rather than 2 years. But at the same time, he's working closely with the GCPD and Jim Gordon, which I find totally unbelievable. Gordon is still a lieutenant, and I don't think that he would have any authority to bring Batman into a crime scene. There are several times where higher-ranking officers than Gordon want to arrest Batman or beat the shit out of him, and Gordon stops them. So, at times, he's basically the commissioner, even though he's not. And given the corruption in the GCPD, I think Gordon would be just totally out on a limb. And I think Batman would be on his own. And as for the story, it's not bad. It's pretty straightforward. It also has a lot of moving parts. I think some of it could have been ejected. Basically, it centers around the Riddler, which I have a lot to say about the Riddler. I mean, this is not the Riddler at all. I'm sorry. I know some people like this version of the Riddler, but the Riddler is not a serial killer. And I could have told you that before I saw the movie, and I can tell you that after the movie. It's just, he's not even particularly crazy in the comics. He's one of Batman's least psychotic villains. He's a narcissist. He's obsessive. He's a thief. And he's constantly trying to prove that he's better and smarter than Batman. But he's not the Zodiac killer type. He's just not. I mean, and there are Batman villains that fit that description. There's Mr. Zaz, Professor Pig, and the Riddler also seems to be inspired somewhat by Anarchy, who is, just another kind of obscure Batman villain, because he seems to be doing this out of some warped sense of righteousness. But all those villains don't have the name recognition of the Riddler. So once again, Hollywood places their own ideas on the backs of recognizable characters in order to market it better, even if it doesn't fit. I mean, that's the only reason. So as a result, we get a bastardized Riddler. And it's not even really their own ideas. I mean, these characters are obviously heavily inspired by John Doe from Seven. But it's too childish. if you're going to do a character that is meant to remind me of John Doe from Seven, you better go hard. Because if you don't, all I'm going to be thinking is that this is not as good as the movie they're trying to emulate. And that's exactly how I felt. He was just a whiny loser who was almost never sinister or threatening in any way. I didn't buy it. And obviously, he was my biggest issue with the movie, by far. And it sucks because I really feel like the actor, Paul Dano, he would have been an amazing Riddler, like a comic book accurate Riddler. He looks like him. You could just see it. Put him in a green suit, and you've got the Riddler right there. I mean, that's the perfect Riddler. Let me know if you feel the same way. It's just such a shame they went this route, in my opinion. And he also contradicts himself. He seems like anarchy, as I mentioned, but he wants to stick it to corruption and the filthy rich, and he claims to be righteous. But at the same time, he has no issue killing clearly innocent people. He didn't care about protecting anyone at the mayor's funeral. He launched a vehicle in there with a guy with a bomb on his neck. He didn't care about anyone who would have been killed when he destroyed the seawall, which was really out of left field, in my opinion. I know they're setting up kind of a no man's land thing for the sequel, but I guess, it's just like, who cares? It's contrived the way they did it. And there's obviously some stuff with Carmine Falcone, who I actually liked. I didn't think that John Turturro was going to be a great character in this movie, but I thought it worked. I thought he did a really good job, and I was convinced that he was a mob boss. I'm also glad they finally started pronouncing his name correctly, because in the Nolan trilogy, they always said Falcone. But typically, Italian Americans whose name ends in E, the E is usually silent. I mean, you don't say Sylvester Stallone or Al Capone, I mean, I don't know why those are my two examples. By the way, that's just what came to mind, but whatever. I go by Eddie Steak, but my real name ends in a vowel, so I'm happy to see that. And like I said, I like Carmine Falcone. I thought he should have been the main villain of this story. I mean, I know that would make it definitely more of a year one story if they did that, but I think that would have been great. Obviously, he has a pretty big link to Selina Kyle. I feel like they could have handled that better because it was a little confusing because Falcone knows Selina, but later it's revealed that he didn't know she was his daughter. So that was a little odd to me. When Selina reveals that Falcone is her father, I assumed that he knew that Falcone knew that, but he didn't. So how do they actually know each other? It was a little weird. Like maybe he had shown some kind of interest in her, which is just, don't like that. And it just seemed a little clunky to me. I don't know. Let me know how you felt about it. Or maybe I just missed something. That's always possible. What else? Sorry, I know this is just a messy review. I apologize. Oh, the Waynes. I didn't enjoy how the Waynes were presented in this movie. Once again, it fits right into this pretty recent trend of making them less reputable people. It's revealed that Thomas Wayne asked Falcone to deal with a reporter who was going to expose the fact that his wife, Martha, was an Arkham and had a checkered history with Arkham Asylum, and she was even a patient there at one point. So Falcone killed this reporter for Thomas Wayne. Did not like that. First of all, it's very stupid. I mean, it's not that much of a scandal. I guess it's embarrassing, but so what? They could have weathered that. I mean, especially after all they had done for the city, you would think that it would just be common knowledge anyway, too. I mean, and I think most decent people would say that this reporter is more of a paparazzo and he's an asshole for doing what he did, and it would just be forgotten. I just think it was ridiculous for him to go to a mob boss and ask for help, and then for him to pretend like he didn't know that that was going to happen. You went to a mob boss to silence somebody, and you didn't think that he might kill this dude? Is Thomas Wayne the stupidest man on earth? I think so. In this situation, yes. And then it seems like Thomas Wayne threatened to turn Falcone over to the authorities for what he did. So Falcone obviously killed him. I mean, I just can't believe that Thomas Wayne is this stupid. It's almost laughable. And I also don't know why they sidelined Sal Maroni in this. He's already been taken care of, which seems strange to me because he's a pretty important part of Batman lore, particularly involving Harvey Dent, who is Two-Face. So that was a little strange to me. But who knows? Maybe he comes back at some point. I don't know. And like I said, it's kind of because we can't have good people who are rich in a movie. You know, I get that. There aren't a lot of good rich people in real life. I can't think of any. But why not simply suspend disbelief and allow the Waynes to be good, intelligent people? I don't know. I just think we can suspend disbelief for other things, but we can't do it for that. I just don't like the idea of making the Waynes like that. I like that they are kind of martyrs for Bruce Wayne in a lot of ways. They tried to do good in the city and they were killed for it. And now Batman is doing the same thing, but in his own weirdo way. And I also hate that they make a point of telling us that Bruce Wayne doesn't do philanthropy like his parents did. I mean, why? Why wouldn't he be a philanthropist? I mean, he's just so obviously Batman. I don't get it. He doesn't even try to put up a Bruce Wayne facade just for appearances. He's Batman when he's not even Batman. And if I was looking for Batman, I'd say it's probably that super rich recluse who lives in an ivory tower and does nothing constructive with his money. He'd be my first suspect if he was acting like this. But of course, his lack of interest in helping people with his money is kind of what leads to the Riddler doing what he does. So, you know, I guess it's just all his fault. That's kind of what they're basically implying here. And I just don't like that. I think it's weak. I don't know what to tell you. I'm also not a huge fan of how the movie looks. I mean, Gotham looks the same during the day as it does at night. It's drab and miserable, and I know that's kind of the point, but I still want to see moments here and there that might make you think that this city is actually worth saving. And you just do not get a lot of that. I mean, it is very grim. And, you know, just because it's dark and gritty doesn't mean it's grounded in any kind of reality. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not real life. Real life has colors. Real life has lots of humor, even in dire, serious situations. So when people say this is a more adult, realistic Batman, I'm not seeing it. I'm just seeing grimness and edginess, and there's nothing real about it, in my opinion. I mean, it's kind of its own world. It's its own thing. And maybe that is what they're going for, but it's not a thing that I want to immerse myself in. It's just not. You know, it's a movie that is try-hard. It's a very try-hard movie. It spends so much time telling you how grown up it is. But in actuality, it's just an angry teenager. What else? Just some bullet points on my likes and dislikes for some of the other characters. Selena Kyle as Catwoman, Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle was great. I thought she was an awesome early version of Catwoman. I didn't love the fingernails, though. I thought that was kind of ridiculous. I think they would just break right off. I mean, come on. Um, Colin Farrell as the Penguin might be my favorite character in the whole movie. And it's weird because I started out kind of hating it. Because they say he's Falcone's right-hand man. I mean, that was a little weird to me. I can buy that he works for Falcone, but right-hand man? I mean, come on. Does Cobblepot sound like an Italian name to you? But he does seem more like a Sopranos character, and that kind of grew on me. He's, of all the villains presented in this movie, and there are a lot, Penguin is the most interesting to me, and he's the only one that I would like to see more of. Andy Serkis as Alfred was good, but I thought he was wasted. We didn't get enough of him. And he has a weird relationship with Bruce, and I don't think they really fully explored that properly. And we don't even see him again until after the scene where Bruce visits him in the hospital. He just kind of leaves the movie, which, that kind of sucked. Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon is solid, and I like that he and Batman aren't even just working together. They seem like they're actually legitimate friends in this movie, which I thought was kind of cool. Although we don't get to see what the catalyst for that friendship is exactly, but he was good. I liked him. And Robert Pattinson as the Batman himself. I mean, what can I say? He was fine, I guess. He's not that compelling. I mean, he has the personality of a moth. And, he's Batman all the time, even when he's not. And he just seems kind of wooden to me. He's not the worst Batman by any means, but he's far from the best. And I don't really think there's ever been a really great Batman. But I do think there's potential. I mean, there was a time where I would have just liked to replace him as Batman. And I don't necessarily think that anymore. We'll just have to see. I'd like to see more from him. And I also like that he becomes an inspiring figure at the end of the movie. I really like that. Because ultimately, I think that's what Batman should be. He's a superhero to me. He's more of a hero than a vigilante, in my opinion. That's just how I see Batman. So I like that he is shown caring for the citizens of Gotham the same way Superman cares for the citizens of Metropolis, or the whole world, really. I mean, Superman covers a little bit more ground than Batman, let's be honest. And as far as the Batmobile and the gadgets go, I like the car. Couldn't see much of it because of how the movie is filmed, but I liked it. I liked that it wasn't just another fucking tank. I'm just tired of bat tanks. I don't know what to tell you. So I was relieved as far as that goes, but the tech is weird to me. He has these contact lenses that record video, and they act as like a kind of a heads-up display. I mean, that was wild to me. And I don't think it fits with the movie at all. I mean, he's gliding in one scene in a real-life wingsuit. It's practical, but I just don't know why some of his tech is so advanced while the rest of it is so rudimentary and basic. I mean, his windshield is like only bullet resistant. It cracks when it gets shot. But he has these super sci-fi contact lenses. I don't know, it's just inconsistent to me. And, I'm also not a fan of how much Batman gets shot in this movie. I mean, he never seems to utilize stealth or gadgets to take out large groups of guys. He just walks in the front door and starts getting shot. And he's obviously bulletproof, but, his chin isn't bulletproof. I mean, he's just taking an awful risk, isn't he? He's relying way too much on his bulletproof armor, in my opinion. I just think I would like to see him more in the shadows and more, like, stealthy and careful. He's just not careful. I mean, he's just getting shot all the time. He takes a double-barrel shotgun to the chest at the end of this movie. I mean, I don't care how much armor he's got on. He would be fucked up from that. I mean, I know he kind of was, but I think he would be really fucked up. Like that was just crazy to me. Anyway, so I've been babbling for a while. Basically, if I had to give it a Dick Rock rating, I would give it a 2.5 out of 5. It is what it is. And there's so much hyperbole surrounding this movie. It's the best Batman movie ever, or it's garbage, it's a failure, it's a massive success. And for me, the truth is somewhere in the middle. It's fine. It's ultimately just a fine movie, and I've come to terms with the fact that I'm never going to get a live action Batman that I'm satisfied with. Like, it's just never going to happen. So yeah, I don't know what to tell you. And it probably didn't need to be 3 hours long, although I shouldn't talk because this video probably doesn't need to be 20 plus minutes long. Shut the fuck up, Eddie. We get it. We love hearing the sound of your own voice. We get it. But ultimately, it just is what it is. Like I said, I'm not super interested in watching it again or watching a sequel. I like the movie Seven. I think it's great, but I don't want a sequel to Seven. I don't want to immerse myself in that world. It's miserable. So after seeing this, I'm left with the same feeling I had before I saw it, and that is just a feeling of uninterest. And if I were to rank it against the other Batman movies, I'd say it's better than Batman and Robin. It's better than Batman Forever. It's better than The Dark Knight Rises. It's better than Batman versus Superman. It's better than Justice League, either version. I didn't like either one of them. And that's probably it. It's middle of the road for me. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, let's wrap this up. That's all I got for now. Hope you enjoyed me babbling about a movie that you probably watched months ago. And let me know what you thought of it. Until next time, take it easy.